Welcome back to Big Family Gaming. I'm Chris, and today we're doing something a little bit different for the channel. I'm going to be talking about the most recent show on Netflix that has been talked about and has a lot of hype in the community right now, and it's called High Score. And this is a 6-part series, kind of a documentary that goes over the history of video games. And it's got a lot of buzz right now, and I thought I'd do a quick video, maybe not so quick. I got some notes here that I just wanted to share my thoughts with this and kind of go over my perspective of this documentary. So first off, it's good. I mean, it's entertaining, right? Worth a watch. We'll just get that out of the way right now. This documentary is worth a watch. And if you got nothing else going on and you want to kill some time, you don't feel like playing some games, you just kind of want to chill out and veg out, this is a decent enough thing to spend some time on. I did learn a few new things, but overall, let me just start going down the list. So first, the music is really good. Music is great. It's done by a group called Power Glove, and the cinematography, excellent. Just they knocked it out of the park with this, and you could tell the production value is really high. Now, the part of the downside is, for my opinion, is they treat the viewer very ignorant. They treat us like idiots, and that we don't really have previous knowledge of any of this stuff. So that doesn't sit well with me, because I feel that, one, your audience that you would be talking to here probably already has a good idea of some of this stuff. They should give us a little credit. I feel like they don't give us any credit. And so I feel like almost insulted a little bit just that they talk down to us. One example is when they talk about the creator of the Fairchild F. Like they pretend like none of us had ever heard of this. Now, you may not have, and you may have learned of it. But and I'm not knocking them for talking about it. They should bring it up, but they really pretend. I mean, I knew the second they showed him on the screen who they were talking about and what his accomplishment was in the video game history, and it's a great one, and he should be recognized for it. But don't treat me like an idiot, like I didn't know that. So, again, one example. Now, there are also just some really cringe moments. So let's start at the top. Episode 1, they kind of start with, and this is what's playing behind me here, they start with arcade games and the history of arcades, and the big one that they focus on is Space Invaders, which is great. Everybody loves Space Invaders. One thing I thought was really neat is that they brought in and showed some of the original notebooks and sketches from the programmer and designer. Great. And they kind of sprinkle that throughout the series. Whenever they're talking to developers and designers, they talk and show sketchbooks and pixel art and game ideas. Great. And the first episode does a decent job of kind of pulling you in, which is what it should do on the first episode. Kind of pull you in and grab you. There's some series and games and shows don't even do that. So good job on there. Now, one thing this is the next thing. We get to episode 2, and it's like the NES era, right? They kind of jump from the arcade. They barely touch on the video game crash. Kind of talk about E.T., right? But episode 2, they talk about the NES and the rise of Nintendo, which, again, I feel like we're very familiar with it by this point. Something we kind of all are aware of. And this thing, and I'm going to try to put a picture of it somewhere on the screen, maybe just dead center. This is the impetus for this video, for me making this review, is that they used, and with this high production value, they used an NES with a replacement door lid that didn't even match the color of the NES, and that bothered the living heck out of me. Let me just tell you, that, and it was at that moment, I saw this in episode 2, I said, I gotta make a video about this. I said, this is ridiculous. How are you going to show this NES with this mismatched color? And the reason I know this is because I've seen these NESs before with these mismatched colors, and the gray just looks off. and it looks cheap, and it looks fake, and I don't like it. Sorry, I don't like it. So excuse my little rant, but that's why I made this video, is because they showed this NES multiple times. I highlight it, they show it. I don't like it. So, and then kind of starting in this episode, they kind of talk to this game counselor, and throughout the rest of the series, they pepper these segments in of just terrible acting, terrible like fake stories, like they pretend he's a current game counselor and they put a wig on him. It was, I mean, again, maybe 1 or 2 clips of something like that would have been good for a laugh, but this thing was just overdone and overplayed. Wear out really quick on me. Anyway, episode 3, if you know me and you talked to me before, you know I don't do RPGs. So our episode 3, not my cup of tea. The RPG episode, you know, here's the highlight from my perspective, is that it touched base on text-based adventure games, which on PC, right? Which, great. That doesn't get enough love. I used to play some of those on BBSs when I was a kid, but I still didn't get into RPGs, and I just dabbled, right? But I appreciate them, and I understand where they came from, so good on them. But, oh my gosh, the bad acting in this Dungeon Master guy, just terrible acting, terrible role-playing, I guess, is what he does. He's playing the same character across the table in a game of D&D, and, like, just cheap and cheesy, just super cheesy. And in throughout the whole episode, throughout all of them, right? And again, if you know me, I am apolitical, okay? But Netflix is known for really pushing their political opinions, which, fine, have your political opinion. I'm not here to talk about one or the other, either way. But don't give me that in a game. Again, you want to talk about some of the milestones, some of the historical things, fine. Again, overdone. Just left a bad taste in my mouth. Some of the political pushing that they did. And again, I don't care what side you're on. You're gonna push that stuff. Is just, I got enough of that everywhere else, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody else does. You get enough of that on Facebook. You get enough of that on Twitter. You get enough of that everywhere else. And I'm so over it. And you can have your opinion about my opinion on being done with political views, but I stay out. I got other things to worry about in my day-to-day life than that sort of thing. So there's that. So episode 4, my favorite episode, and this is where the series kind of really takes off from there. We got Sega and how the rise from Sega, and they show Tom Kalinske, and gosh, I really hope that's his house and his game room and his Sega collection, because it's awesome. They don't really highlight it; he just kind of walks by in front of it. But I absolutely am ecstatic when I saw it, and everybody loves Tom Kalinske if you're a Sega fan. So that was great, and then they kind of talk about. This starts showing some of the early competitions. They showed a little bit about it in the NES video, about the Nintendo World Championships, and the story about how this guy went to one, didn't do good, and then as a kid his parents took him to another, and great storytelling. I enjoyed that sort of thing. I enjoyed the story of the guy doing the Sega competition. That was pretty cool, and they kind of are building up to modern day esports, which they should talk about. Let's see if I can read some of my own handwriting. Sorry about the ums. Alright, so as it keeps going, episode 5, oh yeah, was the return to the arcades. Episode 5 talks about Mortal Kombat and the rise of fighting games, which is great. Street Fighter, and again, from a developer perspective, they bring in Don Tobias, I believe is his name, from Midway, who programmed Mortal Kombat. Hats off to you, sir. Favorite, Mortal Kombat 2, as you may know. One of my favorite games of all time. So, and then that really hit me right in the nostalgia, right? Because as a kid, that was part of my I didn't even really have an arcade growing up in the area. I lived in such a small town. We had to drive. The closest arcade was 30 minutes away. The one I usually went to was over 2 hours away when we'd visit my cousins in a different city. And they lived in a bigger city, and they had a mall, and we'd go to the arcade. So that was the rise of it. Now, episode 6, the finale episode, here's the problem. It's almost like they ran out of money or ran out of time. Like Netflix says you got to do it in 6 episodes, which I don't understand because they tried to cram so much into episode 6. And on episode 6, it's they're talking about Doom, the rise, and which was cool, showing the developer of Doom. Although I was a little disappointed they didn't bring in the main developer. They only brought in Romero, but they didn't bring in Carmack, which, I mean, we're talking John Carmack here, right? But I from what I understand, and I could be wrong, correct me in the comments, please, he's a pretty private person, so didn't surprise me he wasn't on it, but I was kind of hoping he would have been there. And then they just packed so much into it here at the end. They kind of show, they're real quick, okay, here's Doom, they kind of talk the story about the development of Doom, and oh, it's the rise of 3D games, and it's the rise of esports, and oh, where's the game's gonna go next, and the ESRB, and just all of it. I mean, it just kind of got all packed in there. But that's a brief rundown of it. That kind of shows you my thoughts. I just had to get some of this out and wanted to share it with you guys. Again, fun video, not great. I'm gonna say 6.5 out of 10. Maybe as Roger and Ebert would have done, 3.5 popcorn bags out of 5, something like that. Not excellent. They could have done a lot better. They could have put a little bit more time into it. They could have treated the viewer with a little bit more respect and knowledge, even presenting some of the same information in a less condescending way. They could have not shown an NES, and they do. Later on in the episodes, they show plenty of NESs that didn't have this mismatched door. I'm still stuck on that. I'm telling you right now, that's what I hate about it. That's what caused me to make a video and rant about it. But that's pretty much it. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Have you seen it? Have you enjoyed it? If you did, let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree. I appreciate any feedback. As always, if you enjoyed this video, throw us a like. If you haven't yet already, give us a subscribe. I am pretty busy right now with work and all the kids, and baby number 9 is almost here. And when that happens, I'm not sure exactly what my time will be. We got streams, we got videos, we got reviews, we got arcades. This is Big Family Gaming, and I will catch you next time.